Okay, so welcome to this edition of ABN Cast. We've moved the studio into central London to meet with Till, and Till is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of Amadeus. Amadeus is one of the industry's biggest companies. It's certainly one of the biggest technology companies in the sector, and it is behind much of the industry. It backs many of the airlines, and it's also very much involved in distribution and in innovation and driving the industry forward. Welcome, Till. Thanks for seeing us today, and welcome to the UK. You're not based here normally.
Thank you, Lee, and very pleased to be here.
Yeah. So you joined the industry during COVID, which seems like a slightly crazy time to join the travel industry and the aviation industry. What attracted you to an industry that was experiencing one of the greatest crises of its time? I know you took the job before COVID hit, but it did hit as you were joining the industry. So what?
Very true, very true. Look, the decision to actually join Amadeus and the travel industry was predating COVID-19. It is true, it's been a difficult time at the moment when I joined, but what I did like about Amadeus and what I do like a lot today is just it's a crossroads of technology, software, IT, and travel. And both sectors, the IT sector and the travel sector, are just very dynamic areas, and both of them together I do find very, very attractive.
Yeah. Your background was in the telecoms industry, which arguably did very well out of COVID because everyone was having to converse via telecoms and so on. So you left an industry that probably did fairly well out of the pandemic, or at least certainly didn't have the kind of crises that the travel and aviation industry had. Did you ever regret making that decision?
No, look, I think this was a very conscious decision, and I was I'm very happy with the decision that I've taken. But let me also remind you of, I actually think that being in the travel industry nowadays is fantastic. COVID is behind us, and travel is fully back. I think one thing that COVID actually told everyone is there is a strong and underlying desire for travel, exploring different places, connecting with people, and all of this is something which I do like a lot, and I think it is a very booming industry. And we are, as well as Amadeus, as you can see, we are set for growth in the future.
Yeah. So look, what's your assessment of where we are now? Thinking back to the midst of the pandemic, I think there were some predictions that we'd get back to normality probably this year. There were some predictions around that. Maybe later there were some fairly gloomy predictions of a sort of long period of difficulty. Do you think things have got back quicker than expected, or maybe some people thought that we'd be back to pre-COVID levels earlier than we are?
I think 2020, probably many players in the industry were actually hoping and expecting that COVID would be passing quicker. In the end, it has taken a little longer. There were different waves and different variants actually delaying the recovery. 2023 was again a strong year of recovery for the industry, and you can see that all around. I think recovery probably is by and large done. Travel volumes are more or less back to where they have been. But I think what matters most is that the industry is set for growth. And you can see, if you look at IATA's forecast for 2024, it's about 9.8% in terms of traffic growth that they expect. And that is a strong and powerful growth driver for the entire industry.
Yeah. Do you think that growth has come back across the board, or are there some areas that are still patchy, maybe geographically? I think there's still a few doubts about where the corporate travel sector will come back to. How do you think, and some areas maybe have come back stronger than expected?
I mean, first of all, geographically, it's true. Asia Pacific, for example, is still a region that most likely will benefit from some additional recovery boost. But there are several other regions that are actually back or even above. If you look at North America, where it was historically at pre-COVID-19. So that's a geographical side. If you think of some of the kind of segments or corporate travel, it's true. There has been some substitution due to technology, and you alluded to it. Telecommunications has played a role in that for sure. But at the same time, what I would say is, from where it is today, I actually think that corporate travel has got the capacity to continue to grow again, because corporations do see enormous value in face-to-face meetings. So I do expect that there's more to come.
Yeah, you certainly see that in some of the trade shows that we will attend. It's not exactly quiet out there, and people definitely will still want to do face-to-face business. I mean, that's always been the case, isn't it?
I think in order to build businesses, to maintain, you may use technology, but if you want to grow companies, if you want to grow business, if you want to build relationships, face-to-face has got a fundamental role to play.
Yeah. I get the feeling that also there's some parts of the world, I'm thinking India potentially, where there's still a huge amount of runway for new people to enter the industry who have never considered or even been able to fly in the past. There's growing middle class in some of these countries. Is that where we're going to see the real drivers of growth? We should maybe start to look east of where we're sat today and see what's going on in India. China's an obvious one, but lots of countries in that part of the world.
Yeah, Asia Pacific is an important region, and I believe you can see that as well in some of the forecasts that travel per capita for Asia Pacific is expected to grow faster than for most other places in the world. Asia Pacific is for us as well a very important region, and we are very present there, and we are partnering with many companies. So I do believe Asia Pacific is an important place.
Yeah, I'm sure as a CFO of a huge aviation business and technology business, you're constantly looking for indications of how the markets are going and how investors see the industry. When you're looking at the media and the news around aviation, what are you picking up on to say, well, actually, that's a great indicator that growth is there? And what sort of factors are you looking at?
I think you've got a couple of pretty solid indicators and reference points. One is obviously what the industry body IATA says, and they aggregate it from the airlines. And therefore, for 2024, talking about an almost 10% growth, I think it's a pretty solid and strong indicator for what is to come. If you go further out and you look actually at the longer term, of course, the order books of the aircraft manufacturers, Airbus, Boeing, and others, are a good indicator for the available seat capacity. And all of that over the next decade or even beyond is set for solid growth.
Yeah, and things like share prices, does that fill you with confidence that it looks like that the Citi and the investors are saying, actually, we see aviation as being a good bet for the future? Because, I mean, one thing they will have learnt during COVID is potentially a hugely risky area to get into, because suddenly, the industry was shut down for the best part of 2 years. But is there growing confidence, do you think, in the money markets about aviation?
I think what matters most is the growth trajectory that the industry has got, and that ultimately. So if you've got powerful growth, this ultimately will drive interest, and I think travel has always proven over the long run to be a strong growth driver, and attracted also a lot of interest on the investor side and delivered strong returns.
Yeah. One of the things that seems clear and has been since the return of opening of borders post-pandemic is the industry. The demand is clearly there, and what the industry has struggled with is meeting that demand with supply, whether it's in the airports itself, a lack of people in particular to actually process all this demand. But you've seen the issues on supply chain and the difficulties that the aircraft manufacturers are having to get aircraft in the skies. So it seems like it's a problem, but it's a good problem to have for an industry to say, well, the demand is there. What we're struggling with is actually coping with the amount of demand. Is that a fair reflection of where you think we are, and what changes that?
I think there's a balance. On the one hand side, of course, if you've got kind of more demands than supply, that's always a good situation for everyone. But I think on the back end of COVID, there were kind of particular areas where actually supply wasn't sufficient in terms of volume, but also the quality of delivery. There were shortages in terms of staff at airports, at the airlines. which led to kind of unsatisfactory traveler experience and cancelled flights and so on. I think a lot of that actually has been addressed and has changed and improved. And I'm also confident that going forward, this setup actually has focused the industry on how to become more efficient and digitalize. And I'll give you an example where, obviously it is our core business to help the airlines in terms of technology solutions to become seamless, support the entire journey of the traveler from search and inspiration to when you book, to when you get to the airport and you get through your border control, etc., to boarding, taking your luggage, getting to the hotel. And these things, I think, play a fundamental role in making the whole journey for the traveler more seamless, and that's also what is important to us.
Yeah, I mean, technology would clearly do more and more of that stuff, but what's obviously clear as well is the industry still needs good people. That there are some areas that the public don't see that we cover, for instance, in maintenance and engineering, where you need good quality people to do the work that no technology at the moment is capable of doing. So, and that's just one example, but there are loads of examples that reflect the fact that aviation is a people business still. And there is a battle for the right skills and the right people out there and the right talent. How do you think should the industry portray itself out there when it's out sort of trying to persuade young people, particularly maybe young people and tech savvy people, that they should come into aviation? What's the message it should be giving out to that demographic to say, please consider aviation as a great potential career?
I mean, look, I can't speak for the entire industry. What I can speak for is Amadeus, and as I said, I think we are at a fantastic crossroad between software, IT, technology, and helping the travel industry, the airline industry, the hospitality industry to actually become more digitalized and more efficient. I think this is a fantastic place to be, and if I look at kind of our new hires and our workforce, we've got it is a very attractive place, and people like working with us. So yeah, I'm very positive about that.
Yeah, you recently announced the acquisition of Vision-Box, which is a specialist in biometrics, particularly at the border gates. I think that's the key missing jigsaw puzzle. You've got biometrics at check-in and so on and so forth, but the border gates was part of that flow, wasn't it? So just explain why Amadeus is looking to bring that technology in-house.
So again, it belongs to making travel more seamless for the traveler. We've got an existing airport business today, and we also believe that biometrics are a fundamental set of capabilities to enhance the traveler's journey. And Vision-Box is the market leader in biometrics, supporting border control and biometric solutions. And if you think of it very simplistically, airports also face constraints. They've got a given size, a given footprint, but long term, as we've discussed before, you see travel growing every year, which means that also airports need to focus on improving and enhancing the throughput.
Yeah.
And of course, biometrics are a fundamental constituent or component of that. And on top of that, it is a great customer experience when you actually do border control fully biometrically done, or also biometric boarding at your aircraft. And I also believe that biometric data sets and biometric capabilities are not limited to those use cases. We believe they can be transversal and used in other solutions that we actually design and offer.
Yeah, the vision here of the future is a traveller that walks through an airport almost without a touch point, essentially, because their face, the biometrics that they present themselves are their passage through from one place to the next into the aircraft itself. That is happening, and I think Dubai has been trialling this in some of its in its airport, and I think there's some other airports, particularly in the Middle East, that's really going down this route. Is that how you see travel changing for the consumer?
Completely. Our vision is to have a completely seamless approach to travel, And again, if you just think of biometrics as one way of doing that, it is the element of touchlessly enabled getting through the airport from entering the building to entering the plane.
Yeah. One other area that's on the cusp of potentially a great change is prior to getting on the plane, the actual inspiration and the buying and the retailing and all that. And obviously merchandising and ancillaries are increasingly important for all airlines to make money as they compete for passengers. You're part of that as well. You've got your own solutions to help airlines become modern retailers. Where are we at the moment on that journey, do you think? And how is 2024 a key year, do you think, for that?
So retailing has been a priority for the airlines, and improving and enhancing this has been very important over the years. We have introduced last year Nevio. Nevio is a new modern retailing platform improving retailing and fulfillment processes for the airlines. We believe that the airline is looking, we feel that the airline is looking for further simplification of the whole fulfillment process. And of course, retailing is a capability. Everyone looks for an experience that is Amazon type like.
Yeah.
And that's also what the airlines are looking for, I believe. And we've made big steps into that. And we feel 2024 will be a year to advance it further.
Yeah. Why is that? Because there's been a long period trying to bring in something called new distribution capability, which is about the sort of the offer side of things. That took a long time, probably more than a decade. There's a degree of politics and wrangling about that. I think we discussed before we started recording this podcast how the industry can be quite slow to change. Has NDC sort of given a path to change that means that the further evolution of retailing will come along more quickly because the principles are now accepted in the industry that it needs to modernize?
I think that is true for sure. I think there's a strong agreement or view that digitalization and automation is fundamental, and I think the focus is moving to better retailing capabilities. There are many proof points and use cases out that demonstrate how airlines can actually present and market their entire inventory, including ancillaries and additional services, in a much better way to the traveler that supports them in their offering and ultimately also kind of in their yield generation. But also the fulfillment side, when you think of the IT stack, I think everyone agrees and understands that there's an enormous opportunity to streamline and simplify.
Yeah.
And that is what Nevio is about. It will take time, for sure. The industry, when it came to big transformational projects or journeys, be it the e-ticket standard or be it NDC as such, this will take time. But I think what is important is, for us, we have moved forward. It is not anymore about kind of conceptualizing and asking ourselves, should we? It is much more about how do we now make it real, together with launch partners that have been highly interested in enjoying that journey.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I know we've mentioned them before, but Finnair, Saudi Airlines, I think are two that are mentioned publicly to be keen to get on with this. I think they've publicly said they have a vision for sunsetting old technology in the near future. So how important are those pioneers going to be in getting some of this stuff done and demonstrating to the industry that this is what it takes and this is the advantages, and everyone then will sort of follow in their footsteps?
It's exactly what you say. It is about having partners that are very innovative and very forward-looking, and working with us and developing and proving the benefits of it is fundamental. And of course, our hope and expectation is that when you've got the proof points of the benefits and you've got a functioning system and solution, that of course more and more of the airlines and our customers and partners we're going to support the ecosystem, and we're going to support this journey in throughout this ecosystem.
Yeah. As a CFO, the real question is, a lot of investment, what does it give me to the bottom line? What does it do for me as a business so that I can be more profitable, whatever the KPI is? So do you see this, what is a big investment in change, paying off over the short, medium term?
For me, everything starts off with do you have something, or do you invest into something that ultimately delivers value to the airline or the airport or whoever you are providing a solution or a service for, and ultimately the traveler.
Yeah.
And if the answer to that is yes, then your investment is a good investment, and for sure you are able to also deliver good returns from it. For us, investment into Nevio, into modern retailing and fulfillment capabilities, we are very convinced of. Again, it will be a long journey, but we believe there are tremendous benefits for the industry to be realized, both on the retailing capability side, so how airlines present their offer, but also on the fulfillment, which is simplifying the entire IT stack.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about the returns that we as Amadeus can deliver from that.
Yeah. So obviously you talked about huge tech investment, digital transformation amongst your customers, amongst the airlines and the aviation businesses out there. But Amadeus itself has gone through, I think, what has been publicly stated as being the biggest tech transformation in its history. And that is the move to cloud. I know you're working closely with your colleagues or partners at Microsoft on that. Explain where we are with that. Why is that such a big transformation for yourselves as a company, and what are the advantages of making that huge leap into what is now a different future for you as a technology business?
It's true, our partnership with Microsoft is very important to us, and it spans across kind of the cloud migration, where Microsoft is our key partner. Look, cloud is extremely important to us because it gives us capabilities which are very important for our customer base. Elements like a distributed infrastructure, very low latency, or also the capacity to comply with data localization requirements. These are aspects that are very important from a cloud point of view. I mean, in general, technology and R&D investment, Amadeus has got a history of R&D investment, and it belongs to our DNA to invest into new technologies, and cloud is one of the big projects that we are dealing with, but that's more on the inside, but of course we are investing also in many other projects directly customer facing.
Yeah, and again, in your position as CFO, are you constantly looking to find more cash to invest in technology and innovation, or are you ever under pressure to sort of rein back on that? Because that would be one of your biggest expenditures, I'm sure, not least in the technology, but the people who are developing that technology. So how are you as a CFO? What do you see your investment being that going forward? You're still going to sort of continue to invest in that area?
So as I said, R&D belongs to the DNA of Amadeus. If you go back to inception, we always invested into technology and developed and delivered very capable solutions to the airline to improve their operations or their flows. So therefore, I always believe that investment into R&D is fundamental to us. 2023 again was a year of growing R&D. We've spent a bit more than 1.1 billion in R&D. That was close to 13% more than we spent the year before.
Yeah.
And of course, going forward, I also expect that we continue to have solid R&D investment, because I believe as a tech company and as a reference provider in terms of IT solutions for the industry, it is fundamental for us to continue to invest.
Yeah, I've actually previously visited the old data center that Amadeus still runs, I think, in Erding in Germany. It's a really physical. It's a physical thing. It's as the internet sort of in reality, and it's an eye opener actually for people who just use the internet and think it's like magic. That actually this is an industrial business almost. The internet is run in. It's a very big concrete bunker with lots of machines whirring, lots of heat generated, and so on. So the fact that you're switching into the cloud, it doesn't mean to say it's disappearing into the ether. It's still happening physically around the globe, but it gives you what? It gives you more flexibility, does it, to be able to sort of do the innovative things that you want to do by moving into this sort of more cloud-based future?
Yeah, exactly. It is. I mean, there are many benefits in terms of the public cloud. And as I said, some of them are basically you've got a more distributed infrastructure that gives you some advantages in terms of latency. Some of our customers were actually also expecting that we are public cloud based, so that was one of their requirements. And of course, in order to run, a dynamic consumption model, a public cloud model is giving us those benefits. It's true. The data center in Erding has been for many years actually Europe's largest kind of non-military data center or civil data center, which is very impressive, and we are very proud of Erding and the data center and what we've been doing there.
Yeah, and it's still running there. Things are still happening in that data center. It's just you're sort of transitioning away from it.
That's true. We are in the middle of the migration, but we are progressing well, and that's where we are.
Obviously, Amadeus isn't the only company out there that is investing in technology in similar areas. There's plenty of competition. There's startups. There's new entrants. There's established companies. Who's going to really drive this forward? I mean, clearly you would say Amadeus is at the forefront of pioneering this stuff, but does it also require a healthy startup community and innovator community out there to do the things that maybe Amadeus won't get around to doing?
I mean, I think in terms of ecosystem, travel and IT is very dynamic places, and therefore you always have got startups moving into it, investing into particular solutions or niche offerings and proving their capabilities and qualities. Absolutely, and I think this is also healthy for the entire ecosystem, no question. I think what differentiates us is that obviously over many years we've been investing into technology, and we are offering very integrated sets of technology solutions. And therefore, from a pioneering point of view, if you think of big investments like Nevio, modern retailing and fulfillment capabilities, I feel it is something where you need to have a certain scale, a certain set of skills and experience in order to develop and deliver it, and also ensure backwards compatibility. Because again, the industry is a large industry, the airline industry, and transforming and moving from one place to the other requires you to always be fully backwards compatible and manage also and orchestrate this transition. Okay.
Look, Till, we're nearly out of time, but just before we wrap up, just a quick thought on future looking, really, for sort of 5-10 years time. I'm sure you're still planning to be very much part of the aviation industry going forward. What makes you excited to be part of this industry? What gets you out of bed in the morning, and what makes you think we've got a positive future?
I think it is a very exciting industry. There's strong demand for travel in the future, and the industry is at a stage where it needs to modernize, digitalize even more than in the past, and that's where our value as Amadeus comes into play. We've got a lot to offer, I believe, and it is for us to demonstrate that. And I'm very excited, and I'm very excited how we've kicked off 2024. 2 acquisitions, Visionbox, which we've spoken about, Voxel, which is an electronic invoice and payment provider. So I'm very excited about that, and that gets me out of bed every day.
Great. Look, thanks for inviting us to speak to you today for ABN Cast. Really appreciate your time, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Thanks, Till.